Hello everybody, long time no see, and this is going to be the 2019 update to last year's Venezuela video, which is still by and far my most popular work on YouTube. Thanks for all the folks that are still watching it every week, and thanks for all the comments, including the comments about the sound quality. Last time I did this, I had the windows down here in the studio or something, and there was a noise. And after the first two or three can't hear you over the wind comments, I gave up answering. But we got that fixed. I just did a sound check. If you're having trouble, it may be on your end. Turn up your volume. Let's get right down to it. This is going to be a little bit shorter than last year's 20-minute run-on presentation. I've gotten all my research done, condensed down. Things are still bad down in Venezuela. It seems like every week there's a story coming out about no water, no electricity, crime, lack of crime. Things are getting so bad that many of the criminals are leaving. I've forgotten offhand the exact number of people that have just decided to pack it up and, flee to some other country. It's well over 1 million, and so many would-be victims and their stuff have left the country that a lot of criminals are giving it up, except for the criminals that run the socialist government. They're still cracking down, still running inflation, still running police state tactics, and still oppressing people. One of the interesting developments was I won't call it a civil war, a fracturing in the government. Part of it is legal. We have Mr. Juan Guaido, who is the opposition leader, and he has been recognized as the legitimate president of Venezuela by several countries around the world, to include the United States. This despite the fact that he was not elected, and in fact was never even a candidate for president. That would be like China recognizing Chuck Schumer as president of the United States. How and why? Is there any justification? Yes. Guaido was the shadow government, the legislative leader of the opposition team, and there's I guess a constitutional or a legal provision in Venezuelan law that says that if you have a disputed election or murky election, then in the interim period until things are sorted out, the opposition leader is the acting president, and so he took on the mantle. I was going to say Hugo Chavez. Maduro never conceded. He says there was no problems. He was, call it a sham election, but he was elected. And so you've kind of had a dual presidency. And I guess it's a matter for the legislature to take up. I don't check on these that deep on these things. I don't know if they're still meeting, if they're considering it, if they've already considered it. This has kind of dropped out of the news cycle for very good reason I'll get to in a minute. But Maduro never left power. Guaido was kind of an international 15-minute fame poster boy, and I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe the Supreme Court of Venezuela has to review this, which might be hard because they're starting to have justices defect along with soldiers, criminals, and pretty much everybody else that has a way out. Had some competent mentors, some viewers in Venezuela, praying for you guys. It's bad. I know it's bad. There is a relief effort. There's a real relief effort to try to actually help ease the pain, and then there's kind of a show effort being put on by certain people. The U.S. government has expressed all kinds of interest in Venezuela, and rest assured, Washington does not care about people in North Carolina, let alone the people in South America. They're down there for something else, maybe for the oil. Just Google Venezuela and oil and see what pops up. They're one of the largest producers and holders of of gas and oil on Earth. I think it's like 20% of 20% of the reserves of one or the other or both. Massive amounts of oil and petroleum up on the coastal areas, and that's what we're after. And that's why you get all this tough talk about, we may have to step in, we may, it's not gonna be Vietnam, but we may have to get involved somehow, we may send some special forces troops down with the first shipments of aid that gets rejected at the border. And of course, you had John Bolton last week talking tough, telling the Russians to, they better not interfere, It's bad enough you guys tried to, meme and hack our election 2.5 years ago. You better stay out of Venezuela. And then nothing. And the reason there's nothing is because Russia has once again called Washington's bluff, and they're already landing troops down there. They are intervening as a shield between Washington and Venezuela, the rest of the world, what have you, just like they did in Syria. So this is the second major time in maybe as many years that the Russian Federation has checked the imperial inclinations of the mighty United States superpower. Things are changing. And that's, once again, this is a prepper video. I'm going to put it up at Freedom Prepper. This is something that all Americans, especially people in America, need to keep paying attention to. Read the stories. All the great prepper sites run these why you need food, why you need water. Don't rely on big systems and government assistance. You better be armed. Be ready to deal with criminals by yourself. All the reasons why preppers prep are valid, and every single day they are on display in Venezuela. Now, with the U.S. being preempted from invading Venezuela, I think this is pretty much going to die out of the mainstream media. It won't be something that they intentionally don't show, like the Gilets Jaunes in Paris. I think running like 28 weeks in a row now, actually fighting back against the globalist. They don't want to show that in America because they wouldn't want Americans to, put down the pill bottle, turn off the TV, and, start doing the same thing. Pollen. Our own yellow vest pollen movement here in the South. So they'll keep still reporting. The story that grabbed my attention last week was, Caracas, the power's out. It's like we're in the Middle Ages. And the feature picture, I think it was an AP story, the feature picture was a guy walking down the street, and he had two big water jugs, one on each shoulder, the big 5-gallon jugs that go on top of a water cooler, blue plastic. You know what I'm talking about. And he had just filled them up in the local stream. That's huge. How do you get water when the tap is off, when you can't afford water, when there is no alternative? You have to go out and actually hunt the stuff down. And then what do you do with it? That water straight out of the jug is good for, flushing the toilet, general bathing. If you're going to be boiling, you can cook with it. But if you want to drink it, or if you want to use it in food, you really need to purify it. And, you can break out the big Berkeley, cycle it through that. You can boil it. All kind of ways to get the Giardia out of water. But, just as you had better know how to find water, you had better know how to make it drinkable. In the Middle Ages, inflation is, tens of thousands of percent over the past few years in Venezuela. Things that were extremely cheap, and subsidized. Cheap because they're cheap, and also cheap because the government subsidized it as part of the socialism. Things like bus passes. A bus pass in Caracas used to be 3 cents. Now they're reporting that it's 45 cents. So expensive that people have just given up. There's not a lot of gasoline to go around. Tires are in short supply. So you can't ride public transportation. You can't use your car, even if you have one. Horses and a lot of other domestic animals are now seen as food sources. So if you want to move around, you're going to have to walk, just like they did, like peasants did in the Middle Ages, like people really did up until, 120 or so years ago. We're being set back. I would link to that, but I think I've already cycled that story out. I'm working on a few other things for TPC and the blog, some really big Christchurch gun control related stories. I need all the processing power I can muster for crime and gun statistics, and also for videos and stuff. But anyway, keep an eye on what's going on in Venezuela, because odds are something similar is going to happen in the United States within the next decade to decade and a half. And it's the drums are, and this is not speculation, you can see a lot of parallels already, socially, economically, and especially politically. We had the little darling, the leftist darling from New York, AOC, when she was trotting out the Green New Deal, and she's going to make everything free healthcare, free college, a new house, a flying electric, boat car, and, a bridge across the Atlantic Ocean, all this free, and it's free, totally free. And one of the things she says is, my socialism's different. It's not going to be like Venezuela. It's going to be like Swedish socialism. There are some differences between Sweden and Venezuela, and especially with the United States. When Sweden embarked on their program of socialism decades ago, they came in, there is no right way to go into it, but they came in from the best angle. They were a small, homogenous, first class, highly educated, healthy, and wealthy country. They had the money to spend on this, and they if you're going to do something like central planning, they did it pretty well. Venezuela has been on again, off again for decades. Their attempts have not worked out so well. And, if looking at the situation in the past 2 years, it's a total disaster. America comes in on the far end of the other end of the spectrum. Totally broke. Great boom economy, stock market's up, low unemployment. I keep saying we're already in a recession, and here and there, things like the bond market start to tip people off that maybe I'm right. Maybe people like Peter Schiff are right. The point is, everything in our economy is based on funny money, paper money, and debt. We don't have any real money, so we don't have the resources to spend on socialism. So she's right. It's not going to be Venezuelan socialism. It's sure as hell not going to be Swedish or European socialism. It's going to be American socialism. And even if we get it, it's not going to last long. And we're going to get some of it. The people out there happily watching the TV, sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, they can't wait. They hear, they don't care about how things are financed or who they're robbing, or what they're doing to their grandchildren. They want their stuff now, and if it's free, it's for thee. Take it. And so we're going to experiment with that soon. And it's not just the Democrats. You'll find that the Republicans aren't just caving in on a lot of these issues. They're actually trying to get out front now. I thought Obamacare was over and done with, and Trump comes out at his rally last week and starts talking about, we're going to bring it back. Trump care, bigger, better than ever. It's coming, folks. It's coming. And I hope the situation in Venezuela improves immediately. There's a lot of change that needs to happen down there. But I also hope that this does not come to pass in America. I fear it will. So always be ready. Prep. This is, the prepping movement. Trump got elected, the economy improved, and the prepper, like Freedom Prepper, kind of took some time off. People put it on the back burner. Well, things are good now, I can slow down. Wrong. these are the times to really speed it up and make your long-term plans. Food, water, security, how are you going to heat the house? How are you going to educate your kids? How are you going to, get around? How are you going to, get into town, go to church, go check on your elderly relatives? Things to think about now. And I hate to keep saying it over and over again, but Venezuela is a great microcosm to study. So anyway, let me see if there's anything else. It's been a little while. I'll just drop the little rumor right here that there may be something happening at Freedom Prepper. I won't say what, because I don't really even know. We'll just leave it at something and maybe. I keep, whenever I can think about it, I'll drop a link, a video, posting this on the site. Thank you to all the FP folks who still keep coming back time and time again. Hello to the Piedmont Chronicles fans, any that are watching, my subscribers on YouTube, all 6 of you. And a shout out to Samantha Biggers, dear friend of the prepping community, lovely lady from the mountains. She has a new site. I think it's SamanthaBiggers.com. And she's still writing at Backdoor Survival, still over at LRC. But you can find her site, and you can even find this crazy guy down in the suggested links. Although I really shouldn't be under Prepper anymore. Maybe like under my own little column about, general craziness. But anyway, if you want craziness, take a look at Venezuela. Those of you there are living it. Those of you north of the border here are very well going to be living it, in another 10 or 15 years. So get ready. And I might do another video. When I start doing them, I kind of like them, especially when, you folks start viewing in the thousands instead of the dozens. So have a great Sunday. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day, so, don't let anybody get one over on you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.